Join me as I dive into the dark history of Masumi Hayashi and challenge myself to uncover the truth behind her alleged plot to murder her entire village. All right, let's rewind to the late 20th century and head over to Japan. Meet Masumi Hayashi, born on July 22, 1961. She was known to be pretty quiet. She married Kenji, a man who was older and already divorced. They ended up having 4 kids together. Sometime in the mid-90s, the family packed up and moved to a different part of Wakayama, a city about 340 miles west of Tokyo. The area they moved to was called Shinobi. Shinobi translates to garden plots. It used to be a small farming town with rice fields all around. But in the late 80s, things started changing. Farmers started selling off pieces of their land to construction companies, and these companies built bigger, newer houses for people who commuted to work in Wakayama City. Masumi and Kenji had a pretty big house, one of the largest in their new neighborhood, with a well-kept yard. But ever since they moved in, they didn't really try to get to know anyone. They mostly kept to themselves and didn't encourage their kids to play with the other children in the area. Instead, the family seemed to hang out mostly with friends from outside of Shinobi. These friends would come to visit often, but hardly any of the locals had ever been inside their house. People described Kenji as impatient, and Masumi as unfriendly and not very social. From the outside, it looked like they had a lot of money, but nobody could figure out how they got it. Apparently, Masumi had a job selling insurance, and Kenji didn't work at all. But people knew he used to own his own termite extermination business. The family was kind of a mystery to the other people in town. Like many communities in Japan, they had a yearly summer festival called the Matsuri. It's the kind of event where everyone gets together to eat, listen to music, dance, and play games. The Shinobi District Matsuri was planned for 1998. Takashi Tanaka, a 64-year-old resident, was the head of the festival committee, and he had been organizing the event for years. He had support from his deputy chairman, Tanaka, and a team with plenty of experience. The organizers had everything planned out way ahead of time. They sent invitations to all the houses in the area, which included coupons for food and drinks, plus all the info about when and where the festival would be. They even made a map showing where each food stall would be set up. They really wanted everyone to come and have a good time. These festivals were always a hit, and people from nearby towns would usually show up to join the fun. The local women's group volunteered to make all the food for the festival. Based on what people liked in the past, they planned out a menu with dishes like yakitori, dekoryaki, tonkatsu, and Japanese curry. The committee was really happy with how everything was coming together. Finally, the day of the Matsuri arrived, Saturday, July 25th, 1998. The food was ready and selling fast, especially the curry. It was served from a big pot, and people were either eating it there or taking it home. Everyone was having a great time, but that didn't last long. People started getting sick. Some were throwing up. Mr. Tanaka, the chairman, was found at his house by his wife, clutching his heart. A doctor thought it was food poisoning. But so many other people who ate at the festival were having similar problems that they had to be taken to the hospital. By Sunday morning, July 26, 1998, the news was out. 63 people were in the hospital, and 4 had died. The victims included the chairman, his deputy, and 2 local kids, a 16-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy. The news spread quickly across Japan, and the media started calling it a poisoning. Shinobi seemed like such an unlikely place for something so terrible to happen, and the press began to wonder if there was something hidden beneath the surface. The police started an investigation. They went to the hospital first to figure out what caused the food poisoning. The medical staff identified cyanide as the poison, so the police started trying to piece together what happened. But soon after, medical people told the police that the actual poison was powdered arsenic, which meant someone had probably put it in the curry pot on purpose. The district of Shinobi and the entire country was in shock. The case was now a murder investigation. Police and reporters flooded the area. The initial investigation was moving slowly, which drew criticism from the press and the locals. Then, the investigators found out that two men who visited the Hayashi's house often had been hospitalized after eating there. When doctors examined them, they found traces of arsenic in their hair. Turns out, Masumi had taken out an insurance policy on one of them, and she had allegedly received 6 million yen in benefits because he was sick. Masumi's address was also on the insurance policy of the other man, who had also been treated for arsenic poisoning. The police then looked into another insurance claim related to another incident. The police started digging deeper into these insurance claims and began to suspect that Masumi was most likely responsible for putting the arsenic in the curry at the festival to collect insurance money on people she knew would be there. The other couple also had an insurance scam where Masumi had been burned while cooking spaghetti at her house to receive the insurance money. She claimed that she had sustained the injuries after falling off a bicycle and landing on a bonfire. The police searched their house and found arsenic, which they figured was probably from Kenji's termite business. The investigators said it matched the arsenic found on cups from the festival's trash. Some witnesses told the police that they had seen Masumi hanging around the curry pots. The police were under a lot of pressure to solve the case. Finally, detectives showed up at the Hayashi's house and arrested both Masumi and Kenji. They charged them with making fraudulent insurance claims by exaggerating their injuries. Masumi was also charged with 4 counts of murder by arsenic poisoning. The couple was found guilty of insurance fraud, and Kenji got 6 years in prison. But the public was most interested in the curry poisoning case. The trial of Masumi Hayashi, the alleged curry poisoner, began in May of 1989. It was a strange and complicated case, mostly based on circumstantial evidence. The lawyers explained to the court how the arsenic from the couple's house matched the poison in the curry. Witnesses had seen Masumi near the curry pots that day. They also brought up her history of insurance fraud. The defense argued that arsenic was a common product in Japan, and reminded them that the brand used in the curry was available at stores. They said that it might have been Masumi's daughter standing by the pots. They stated that Masumi had filed for cases of insurance fraud, but that didn't mean that Masumi would randomly poison innocent visitors at the summer festival. Her lawyers argued for all the evidence against her was circumstantial and her presence at the festival doesn't prove anything as thousands of people attended. The traces of poison in her hair could have been carried in the steam from the curry after someone poisoned it. They also told the court that she didn't have a motive for the crime. Then, the prosecution said, being has been shunned by the locals and the Shinobi women's. They alleged that she wanted to get back at them. The prosecution also said that they believed that Masumi may have believed that the arsenic would just make people sick, and didn't fully understand what would be the true consequences of her actions. The state was gripped by the events of the case. The trial lasted for 3 years. In December 2002, the Wakayama District Court found Masumi Hayashi guilty of murder in the curry poisoning case and sentenced her to death. Masumi said that she was innocent and appealed. The High Court heard her appeal, and in June 2005 upheld the lower court's original ruling. The defense lawyers continued to take the case to appeal in the Japanese Supreme Court's defense. Lawyers argued that the curry poisoning case was very different to the cases of insurance fraud. They said that there was no clear evidence, no motive, and that the eyewitnesses was also in question. They suggested that the death penalties should not be the cause in the current case, as there are many gaps in the prosecution's argument. On April 21, 2009, the events came to a head, nearly a decade after the crime took place, with the Japanese Supreme Court, who agreed that the death sentence was correct and dismissed the appeal that was filed by Masumi Hayashi. Masumi claims she is still innocent for the crime and was sentenced in 2002 to death.